The first thing I remember is the cold. Not overseas, not on the mission, on the airport floor in my own country. My hands forced behind my back. A voice above me saying, "Uniform doesn't make you somebody." That's when I realized something was very wrong. My name is Senior Chief Marcus Hale. 16 years in naval special warfare. I've operated in places that don't officially exist. I've sat in rooms where silence meant survival. I've been trained to control my breathing. Under pressure, most people would never endure. But nothing in my career prepared me for this. 72 hours earlier, I had been extracted from a classified overseas operation. I hadn't slept in almost 2 days. My right hand was wrapped from a field injury. I had a stitched cut above my eyebrow. I was rerouted through a major U.S. airport on my way to a debrief in Norfolk. Dress blues pressed, dossier sealed, head down. Wasn't looking for attention. I just wanted to make my flight. I saw him before he spoke, Officer Daniel Mercer. Mid-40s, watching the crowd, the way some men scan for threats, and others scan for targets. He stepped into my path. "Where are you coming from?" "Military travel," I answered calmly. Connecting to Norfolk, his eyes moved over my uniform slowly. The ribbons, the bandage, the sealed envelope. "You look like trouble. I've heard worse in worse places." I offered my military ID and travel orders. He examined them like he had already decided they were fake. "These can be bought online. They can be verified," I said. He didn't like that. That's when his partner shifted behind me, and I knew this wasn't about identification. When he told me to put everything down, I placed my duffel on the floor, but I kept the classified dossier under my arm. "I'm not authorized to surrender this." His voice dropped. "I don't care what you call it. Put it down." I stayed still. "I am not resisting." He grabbed my injured wrist. Hard. The gauze tightened instantly. I did not pull away. Training takes over in moments like that. Slow breathing, no sudden movements. Then he twisted. Pain shot up my arm. And suddenly, I was on the ground. Knees first, shoulder second, face last. The dossier slid. Across the terminal floor, phones came out. Someone gasped. I said clearly, "I am not resisting." My cheek pressed against the tile. His knee in my back, cuffs tightening. I could taste metal in my mouth. I remember thinking something simple. I survived overseas, and this is how I'm treated at home. People were shouting now. A man said he was an attorney. Another said he was a veteran, but the officer leaned down. Closen said something that the body camera caught clearly later. "Guys like you always have a story." Not loud, just certain. That sentence echoed louder than the impact. Here's what most people don't understand. When you're trained to operate under pressure, your memory sharpens. I counted seconds, noted words, positions, angles of cameras. When the sergeant arrived, Sergeant Alana Ruiz, everything shifted. She looked at my ID, then at the dossier on the floor, then at him, and said quietly, "Take the cuffs off." That was the moment the room changed. Not because I stood up, but because someone with authority finally looked at the facts. Medical staff were called, supervisors arrived, then something else happened. 2 federal agents walked in. They didn't raise their voices, they didn't argue. They simply asked for the body camera footage. We watched it in a back room. Every second, the stop, the dismissal of valid ID, the escalation, the shove. The moment I hit the floor in that sentence, "Uniform doesn't make you somebody." The agents didn't speak for a long time. Then one of them made a phone call. He used the phrase "federal jurisdiction." The tone changed immediately. The officer who put me on the ground was relieved of duty that night. Badge secured. Weapon logged. Access suspended pending investigation. And the dossier? It was secured by the proper authority within minutes. What could have been a national security breach ended because people started recording. Over the next few weeks, more stories surfaced. Travelers describing similar encounters. Complaints that had gone nowhere. Internal reviews reopened. External investigators assigned. I gave one statement. Clear, precise. Then I returned to limited duty. I did not hold a press conference. I did not go on television, because this was never about attention. It was about accountability. Months later, federal charges were formally announced against Officer Mercer. But the most powerful moment for me didn't happen in a courtroom. It happened quietly, back in uniform, walking through another terminal. No confrontation, no spectacle, just normalcy. And for the first time since that night, I felt something settle. I've operated in places where the rule of law is fragile, where authority answers to no one. What makes this country different when it works is accountability. It's not perfection, accountability. That night I was reminded of something important. Strength isn't just surviving hostile territory. It's staying composed when your own system tests you, and letting the evidence speak louder than anger ever could. The cameras were rolling. The truth was documented. This time the system didn't look away.